Welcome to episode 12 of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Three intrepid podcasters watched on as... I can't be bothered this week, guys. Let's just cut to the music.
Has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Right, so I think this podcast, guys, is probably going to have to come with a bit of a warning. If you're looking for any positivity, this might not be the best podcast to listen to. So proceed and enter with caution. Maybe listen to the last episode where we're a bit more upbeat or jolly, as a Twitter commenter described us. To coin your favourite phrase, Neil, I didn't go, but I watched the 90 minutes, and Town turned in a bit of a Halloween special. Kosi, you were there. What was the view from the stands? How did everybody take that, and what was the performance like from where you were stood?
You were absolutely gutted, Matt, to be honest. Before the game, there was real optimism on our bus. Obviously misplaced when you kind of looked at the end products. I think even in the pub before next to the ground, a lot of Town fans, Southern-based Town fans, a lot of optimism there. And part of me just wondered how, obviously, we got thrashed, and was it misplaced? But I think the gutting thing for me, and it felt as bad as, and this is going to sound so controversial, but stick with me, it felt as bad as some kind of a Wadsworth performance, because at 19 minutes past 3, the game was dead. It were gutting. You were stood up, your arms were folded, and the atmosphere and the start of that Town made it really good before. And obviously we had a decent kind of opening, warmed Foster's hands a couple of times and that as well. But as soon as Delafeo smashed that second one in, the game was done, and that's gutting. And it just reminded me back of them Wadsworth days when you knew, even 1-2 down, the game was finished. So you might as well have done something else with kind of your rest of your afternoon and that as well. And it were really gutting. And getting back on the bus, it was quite a silent bus. I think we all realised, we've been encouraged by the last, kind of few games, and even on here we were really upbeat last week. But I thought they eased off as well. Watford, it was really gutting. The atmosphere, non-existent. The fans didn't really turn on the team, to be honest with you. But long before the third goal had gone in from Success, there were fans streaming out of the ground as well. And I think it was really dawning on everyone that, wow, we're in really big trouble, really. And obviously, you look with the table before, we knew it, but I think people were thinking, wow, this is bad and we're in big trouble.
Neil, you're not a big fan of stats in particular because they can be used in different ways to tell multiple stories. If you hadn't seen the game, I know we both have, but if you hadn't seen the game, the statistics on BBC website read possession 52% to Huddersfield over 48. Shots, 13 shots from Huddersfield, 12 from Watford. Shots on target, 7 from Huddersfield, 6 from Watford. 3 corners each, and fouls is irrelevant, really. It's more by us. But that doesn't really tell the story of 3-0 and how... To be fair, Ben Foster had made several really good saves, but the majority of those saves were from outside the box. And again, it doesn't really tell the story about how we failed to really create any clear-cut opportunities once again.
It would... Watford 3, Huddersfield Town 0. That's the only stat you really need. The rest of it is... As much as, like I say, I don't particularly like them because you can read them, whichever way you want to read them. If you don't see that game and you read those stats, you say, they must have been unlucky. Watford have been clinical, but we weren't unlucky. We've started off really well. 7 or 8 minutes, looked good. Possibly could have been one in front. Moyes had a shot and good save from Foster.
It's a good save, yeah. And Derm had a chance.
Derm had a chance and scuffed it, and then, there were 4 or 5 of them with a roll of red carpet down, weren't they, for lad who scored first goal. It was just pathetic defending. So
off air, Kosi, you mentioned before we went, before I pressed the record button for about the 18th time, that Adrian Durham had put a poll out for the best Watford goal.
Yeah, I think they do it every week. They must score some good goals, but
in my opinion, every goal they scored was garbage from us. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
scathing, but
my first thought on the first goal, obviously, yeah, obviously we've got our blue tinted glasses on and what have you. But my first thought, I never thought it would have worldie. It was incredible. I was getting loads of people who would text me and not do it. I says, "Wow, you've just conceded a worldie, haven't you?" And I never.
He ran in a straight
I never
line,
saw it like that. It was incredible, like a plane being directed towards.
It was hardly Ricky Villa in FA Cup final.
It was like the defenders were like directing him towards the centre goal. It was incredible, really, and that as well. And I thought Lossell again should have done a lot better. It was really a deflating goal, and I think that was part of the problem. And the second one, equally so. Lerver, who I blame us for talking him up, I think, last week. But
podcast.
we're almost like when they're playing a computer game, you're recklessly pressing the fire button and the guys just kind of, charge in. But the Premier League, you can't do that. And then it was like just execution, really, from Delafeu. I was just waiting for the guillotine to come down, bang. And you knew at that point, whether you're watching on TV, you might as well have gone shopping.
And he shouldn't be scoring from there.
Mate.
There's no way he should be scoring from there.
No, he was gutting. And I thought the second half reaction was, and that was the most worrying thing for me, because I thought, okay, 2 down, regroup, come on, let's have a real good go. There were nothing, mate. Well, the Mbenza thing that just slid across the box. But I mean, Delafeu should have scored, went round the keeper. I don't know who else he went round, one of our other defenders who was slagging.
They looked like at any point, if they wanted to,
definitely.
they could have gone and got another.
They were quality. I think, to be honest, mate, I hold my hands up. I think I underestimated them. I think they're a lot better than I thought they would be. And
did we underestimate them, or did we overestimate Town?
Well, yeah, there was that. But there were a lot to be encouraged by coming into the game, Neil.
We'll just put in.
Yeah, we started
a
so
bloody
well.
good performance against Liverpool.
Do you think, though, Neil, when you're losing games, I mean, we've all been involved, maybe with, I don't know, junior teams, pub teams or what have you. When you're losing game after game, we say, yeah, we want a reaction, this, but does there just come a point where you think, oh my God, you want to fight, but it's like it's happened again. We're 2 down after 20 minutes. Do you just think
you know when you're beaten?
Yeah, you're right. And the biggest problem with Town is, and you feel it watching games, as soon as we go 1-0 down,
it's over, isn't it?
The best you can possibly hope for there is getting one and getting a point. Mm-hmm. That's the best you can hope for. And in all the times we've gone behind in the last 3 years or so, Southampton we drew from behind, Burnley this season, Brighton away last season. As record from coming behind isn't exactly great. So you lose one goal. It's not good in
the Championship either.
No, but you lose that one goal, and you're almost resigned to a defeat. So that's got to be in.
I think that's a Premier League stat as well. I think a lot of Premier League teams have got a similar stat, but it's almost like first goal wins, isn't it?
But a lot of the other Premier League teams are also capable of getting a goal, and we have shown on a consistent basis that that's one thing that we're not very, very good at all.
So there's another stat for you, because I'm going to hit you with stats this week, Neil. This is your Halloween special.
I know what you're going to say, Matt. I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Do you?
Does it involve woodwork and posts and things?
It doesn't. Well, we did that last week, didn't we? But I do have that further down.
That this time, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a brilliant save by Ben Foster.
It was a
stat.
strike from
It was hard to tell when obviously where we were.
Hell of a strike from Lerver, that one.
Success, the striker. That's his first Premier League goal for 2 years.
He was, but
that won't surprise me. Better, for Stoke.
That Watford podcast, though, Matt, what I would say is that he has improved on it. Yeah, and they were saying to me, success. I kind of listened to it after I'd kind of finished my 10 minutes with him, and they were saying success was brilliant. He hadn't scored, but he's going to get a goal. He was just everything Watford needed. So I knew we'd start with him, and he'd be hungry. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, we could have all scored the goal he did, but it's his work ethic, his energy, his pace. There was some real worrying things.
He's incredibly strong.
We never looked comfortable for one moment of that game at the back.
No. Both centre-backs really struggled with it.
It was just
one of the centre-backs had an absolute stinker.
And let's just hope that it was the game where they've all had it.
I'm hoping this is the Swansea game from last year, where we were absolutely dreadful at Swansea last year. The same centre-back had an absolute stinker last year at Swansea, and then he turned it round and he was excellent for the rest of the season. So I'm hoping that's going to happen. So I'm going to suggest now. There's one talking point I want to talk about, and Ian Kilroy, our friend from Australia, will love this point because he doesn't like this particular player. But I'm going to mention a tale of 2 goalkeepers. Ben Foster, probably their man of the match, apart from Successu and Delafeu. He made 4 outstanding stops.
He did, yeah.
Our goalkeeper, weak on goal 1. What he's doing on goal 3, it's almost like he thinks they're offside, so he's kind of busy talking to someone and just stuck I don't understand why he stuck a leg out and made no effort to save that. You've got to throw yourself in. I like him a lot as a goalkeeper and as a character. I think he's great, but is there a reason to be concerned? Because he was dropped at the start of the season because he came back from World Cup duty not looking sharp. Ben Hamer came in. Ben Hamer didn't really cover himself in glory too much. Lussell, the Everton goal was soft. He's got a hand to it. Wasn't great. At Stoke, that own goal wasn't great. Again, the Leicester free kick, a few people have questioned him for getting a hand to it and pushing it in. I think that might be a bit harsh. And the goals were soft on Saturday. I think back to this time last year, and Lussell was incredible at Selhurst Park. He helped us. We won 3-0, but if he had not exactly, if he hadn't have put that performance in at Selhurst Park, we probably wouldn't have won that day. No. The save from Matt Ritchie last year in our first home win against Newcastle was outstanding.
Save, bottom corner.
West Brom, at this point last year, there was some outstanding performances, and we're not seeing him make those saves this season at the minute. He looks a little bit
a World Cup hangover.
He just looks a little bit stodgy, if you know what I mean.
It was Paul Clement, the goalkeeping coach, mentioned it on Radio Leeds a couple of weeks ago when he were on talking about the goalkeepers at Town. He said that Denmark goalkeepers do not train anywhere near as intensely as Town goalkeepers. So has he been there for 4 or 5 weeks, them over at summer, and lost so much from because
he's played
you can't get anything from not playing and from watching.
He's played 8 games on the spin though. You would have thought he might have just caught up by now, but it just still looks
something not quite right, isn't there?
It just doesn't look as sharp as he did at this point last year. Like I say, I do want to stress I do like him a lot as a goalkeeper. I think he's probably the best goalkeeper we've ever had.
I put a tweet out saying similar, Matt, after the game, but to be fair, I got a Watford fan firing straight back at me, saying as a former keeper myself,
I saw that.
I am really not sure what Lussell could have done for the first and third goals. Badly let down by his defence for all 3, which I don't think.
Third goal, he could have made an effort to save it.
Third one was just really poor. I mean, first one. He were probably surprised, was it? Wondering how
he has been let down badly.
How the bloody hell has he got there in first place?
It's hard. It's annoying when a keeper get beat down the middle. I always think Joe Hart.
That defending, all of a sudden, this lad has gone from being 40 yards away from goal with 6 or 7, 8 defenders in the way of him and goalkeeper, and within 10 seconds. He's banging front of goalkeeper.
It starts by Zanka being dragged out and then not recovering. There's a whole Zanka, there's Billing, there's Lover.
I like Zanka a lot, but he's had an absolute mare on Saturday.
To be honest, that's probably the worst game I've ever seen him play
100%,
on Saturday. Yeah. But we're gonna talk about performances in a second. But I'm hoping that it was just a one-off because in 2018 he's been outstanding.
He has been very good.
So I'm not gonna pan him after one bad game.
You can't just write them all off after that dismal game because apart from one player, it's same side that should have got something against Liverpool.
I think we put it in perspective. Our defences, I think, held up by and large pretty decent this season.
Yeah,
and obviously we were at the Etihad where Man City put on a show. But apart from that, really, I don't think
we all know where our problems lie.
Saturday was the first game, though, I felt for a long time where they could have scored at will. I just felt that, and I wondered if it my opinion, because I was getting a few kind of opinions on the bus round. They were one guy coming out. I think that could have been 5, 6, 7. To be honest with you, I felt that, even though they didn't create that much.
I know it's only 10 minutes, but the first 10 minutes I thought we were outstanding. We really had a go at them.
And then they scored.
And then as soon as they scored, heads.
Game over.
You've got to start maybe questioning the. My mate Tom, who I go with, his opinion at the minute is. Over the last 12 months, they've been told how rubbish they are week in, week out by absolute. Right, hold on, I'm gonna almost swore, but we'll by people like Mark Lawrenson,
whoppers,
Danny Murphy, everyone like that are constantly slating them, telling them how bad they are, and he simply thinks they're starting to believe what they've been told by the media. And heads are going down a little bit too easy. Went down a little bit too easy. Up till now, I don't think they have.
I get that. I totally understand that, but it can't help when the defenders are playing. Yeah, they've all had a mare on Saturday. We'll give them that one.
I thought Schindler did all right.
He did all right, but
when you've got
as a collective,
Lerver and Zanka beside him had absolute shockers. But
they've had a bit of a mare. We've got done 3-0. But this is the same defence who were very, very, very unlucky against Liverpool, barring one change in that, a floor play Liverpool, didn't it? But when you've got
And to be honest, Flo doesn't help you out defensively.
League One striker up front, which is how he played on Saturday.
I was going to say.
De Poitre was awful. He didn't put anything in, no effort, no
but the
movement.
thing is, Neil,
he couldn't have trapped a bag of sand.
Is it any different
awful.
to his performance against Liverpool and Burnley?
No, I've been saying it for a while, Matt, and it goes against. I think I said it on here last week. But I've been seeing. He doesn't feel the same man. I remember the start of the season. I remember he's lost a stone of weight. He looked mean.
He looked good against Leon.
That
didn't
Leon
he?
game,
Yeah, it looked really good.
Champions League
goals,
Leon, obviously pre-season.
Hey, no one from the no English team in the Champions League has beaten Leon. I think you were saying, Kosi.
Yeah, but part of me thinks
still got
though.
to put them in,
But the big question is, would one goal change all that? And I'm not a striker, never have been, but only they could probably tell you: is that a confidence thing, or is he just lost what we're doing? He looked dangerous last year, mate.
He looks a bit flat to me.
100% split the Twitter listeners.
He would have pain last year.
But he's just
defenders.
not as good as Mounier. That's a fact.
The header would it were awful.
It is a fact. His link-up play is not as good as Mounier. He's not as quick as Mounier. He's not as good in the air as Mounier. Mounier, the only thing he has over Mounier is heart.
Yeah,
and that can go a long way at times.
But it didn't even.
But
have that
we're
on
not seeing it
Saturday.
at the minute.
I've not seen a replay of the game and only saw the header live. Was it a bad miss or was it a tough chance? What it looked bad. What was that, a golden chance?
The header.
Yeah.
He just got his body. He got too square on, facing the other way, and he should have done better. But you couldn't say for sure that he should have scored, but he could have. He should really have.
I always felt last year though that De Poitre were in the game. I mean, if obviously the Man United.
He's a big pest.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
this just week by week his threat is lessening, and it's just he's very worrying. But alternatives, where are they? You know.
What I'll do, so just a few little bits, and we'll go on to a couple of individual performances that I think we've pulled them out over the weekend. I think everybody has. So Huddersfield have now hit the woodwork more times than they have scored goals. So we've hit the woodwork 6 times and scored 4. Huddersfield are winless in 15 games in all competitions, 5 draws, 10 defeats. The worst run since November 2000. So even Wadsworth had a better run. Kosi.
Is that the Bruce?
We've not scored in 33 games out of the last 50.
Who's November 2000's manager? Come on, get your quiz. Is it Lou Macari that? Is that 100%?
Actually, do you know what? That could be the end of Steve. No, hang on. No, that's 2000, 2001, so that's Steve Bruce,
Yeah.
That's towards the end of Steve Bruce's tenure. Wow. Okay, so Freddie Cocker, I'm going to bring in his tweet a little bit earlier because he does mention a couple of things. So he says, I know these will have been covered, but he says, Moy on the left wing, 3 central midfielders and Benza, Chris Powell formation flashback. To be honest, Will Hughes played on the wing for Watford, so to me it just seemed to match Watford up a bit. Is Derm one thing he's mentioned? Is Derm delivering on the expectation he came with?
It's interesting. I saw another tweet as well saying he's certainly no better in this tweeter's opinion, worse than kind of Lever and that as well. But
I saw that as well. Yeah.
The only trouble is you've got expectation on Derm that people. Yeah, we are World Cup winner, but didn't play. But obviously, but he's been out of the game for so long. My expectations would anything would have bonus, Neil. To be fair, mate,
we've signed him. Congolo, Diakabe, and Benza, Sobby, Hamer, Bakuna, and if we only got left with Derm and Congolo, we wouldn't be any worse off than we are now.
We'll come on to the summer recruitment in a bit, but
I think for me, Huddersfield Town don't win unless Adam Moy plays well. That to me, that is just a fact, and it worries me that.
I'd go with that.
He looks out of gas. I mean, to be fair, he's a player that hardly, looks like full of energy when you see him. He's kind of got a kind of demeanour. But I thought on Saturday, it was almost like...
We disagree on Moy, don't we?
Because bizarre where he were playing.
Yeah, but I thought against Liverpool, obviously, we had a bit of a spark last week, or a disagreement, shall we say.
Well, you were the only person to say
that, but
we'll gloss over that.
But again, I've not been raving about Mr. Moy than...
He wasn't good on Saturday, but I thought there were 7 worse performances than Moy on Saturday. But to be fair, you can't really say anybody played well.
We don't win unless he plays well, so it's some others need to step up to the plate.
Well, that's going to go on to the summer recruitment as well, isn't it? What we're going to talk about in a bit. But for me, Derm has been a massive plus. I expected him to play 3 games this season and go back to Germany having had multiple injuries and setbacks. And for me, up until Saturday, I thought he'd actually been one of our better players this season. I've been actually quite pleased with him.
Just getting going, but when you're in the middle of a team putting in a performance like that, you're going to struggle. Full stop.
I liked his interview after on Radio Leeds. Again, positive. Could have done with him in here probably tonight, helping us, but real positive mindset. You know, looking already to Fulham. He's, you know, that game's kind of gone and he's moved on. But I think when Wagner signed him, he was mentioning that it's just great to have this kind of character around the dressing room. So again, I think it's one of those where, you know, I'm not maybe comparing to Effley or what have you, but I think he's going to do a lot of good that we don't see. So I think it's probably a bit harsh, to be honest with you, and that as well, especially, you know, when he's just chased.
Take Saturday out. I'm really pleased with Eric Durb.
Same.
Really pleased.
Yeah, I think
so. Let's be fair. There were some people, when I put that poll out last week, there were some people wanting Durb added onto that after only playing maybe 4 or 5 games. So
I think he's played 6, has he?
So you can't write him off after one.
No,
iffy performance.
I would. Like I say, Lerver hasn't played every game either, but I thought Durm, if he'd have played 1 or 2 more, I'd agree he should be on the list, and for me, he'd be up at the top, in the top 2 or 3. But we'll talk about some individual performances because there've been quite a lot of comments about them. Depoitre we've kind of covered. I got a YouTube notification this morning from an account I do not follow. It was a YouTube suggest, and it was almost like it was rubbing my nose in it a little bit. It says YouTube suggest watching a hat-trick scored by striker Alexandra Pato for a Chinese team. And I sat there and I went, no, this is the first time I've seen a striker score a goal since about April or May. And the question for you guys is, can you remember the last player to score a hat-trick for Huddersfield Town in the league?
Is it Jordan Rhodes at Wickham?
It is not.
Oosh.
Oh, crikey.
And you go back to this season and there were 2 hat-tricks this particular season by 2 different players.
Part of me thinks James Vaughan for some reason, but I couldn't tell you a game.
James Vaughan is one of them, but he's not the last one. James Vaughan scored a hat-trick when we beat Bournemouth 5-1 in the Championship.
Did Naki get a hat-trick for us?
He did not. There's been no hat-trick since David Wagner's come in. To be fair, we're lucky if we score 3 goals in the Championship, but it's not what we do, his goals. Shall I tell you? Or do you want another second?
Just tell us.
The last player to score a hat-trick for Huddersfield Town was at Vicarage Road and was Danny Ward. Yeah. In 2014. Yeah.
The goal scoring.
He was the last one. There were a couple of strange free kicks. Which
last game at season.
There was a goalkeeper at Watford who got in the England under 21 squad, and I thought it was garbage.
In fact, didn't he come on because Naki gone off injured in that game?
I can't remember, but Lolly played well that game as well.
Yeah,
he did.
Christ, don't mention Joe Lolly be a meltdown again, won't we?
He's in my stats later.
Bring Joe Lolly back.
I think, you're going to come on to recruitment at some point, but I think it was so evident. Watford Huddersfield, different parts of the season. Last season, Silva was out. There was in free fall, but to me, it looked like they'd recruited really, really well.
They've got that. The Pozzo family have got 3 clubs, don't they? Is it Granada in Spain? They've got, and they've got Udinese, and they've got this huge scouting network that they plug into. They're very, very lucky for what they've got at their resources of Watford fans. They're very, very switched on.
Because they seem to change the manager every 20 minutes, don't they?
It works. It works. It's bizarre. It works. I thought this guy was on a downward curve, but he's doing brilliant this year. He's really good. Give him a lot of credit.
Good to watch, and that's all you can say. But to be fair, they had a bit of mercy on us because I just felt they could have gone.
I still think that Ducari is probably the best central midfielder outside the top 6, or one of them. I think he's absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. So we'll talk about a couple of individual performances. Zanka, for me, is probably his worst performance ever for us. Definitely his worst since Swansea away.
It was awful.
It was like watching Neil Trotman. It was that bad. Positionally, everything it was all right on the ball, but he was just having one. He'd given away unnecessary fouls. His discipline went. I like this guy a lot as a footballer and as a character. I don't know him obviously, but his character that comes across as a footballer, I think he's really top man. And a lot of people are suggesting he gets dropped, and Freddie's also said, what about his form since the World Cup? I think he's been fine. I think this, for me, was a one-off.
I don't think he's as been good as how he finished last season, when I thought he turned it around to be knocking on the
I think what it does do from that last weekend is it opens the door rather easily for Wagner to chuck Congolo back in against Fulham, and I think...
If he's fit,
he said he's fit. He said last week he's fit. He just didn't want to rush him in for Watford game. So
Okay.
for me, he plays.
To drop your captain would be a hell of a statement, Neil. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Speaking of captains, Neil, an ex-Watford player had a bit of a mare. I thought some people have said he was man of the match, but I thought he was really poor.
I couldn't have picked a man of the match out of that game. To be fair, not in a town shirt anyway.
I'd have probably gone Schindler, but that's a sympathy.
You've lost 3-1. You've been murdered. You've been awful. You can't pick a man.
3-1. That'd be nice.
3-1.
Yeah, that'd be nice. A consolation goal.
Pritchard worked hard.
Yeah,
big effort.
Put a shift in, but
the thing is, though, obviously on TV you don't see all he was running. He was putting a shift in, but that's the minimum in the Premier League.
I've still got my problem with Vichai is still that there is no tangible results in terms of assists and goals, and that's what he's there to provide. He's still not provided. I know it's not all his fault.
Fair. Look who he's playing alongside on Saturday.
I know it's not all his fault, and he works hard, and he has looked pretty good. I didn't think he was great on Saturday, but who was? And he was good against Liverpool and things, but he's still not created or scored since February. And as a number 10, he's not good. And I know he's not always played, and he's been in and out, and he's been subbed.
He played alongside on Saturday.
But he's got to do more for me.
Somebody who wouldn't have looked out of place with an Ishmael Miller shirt on him.
The Bradford shirt on. But
he was very close to scoring as well. It was a pretty good effort, to be fair to him.
I think the positives, Sobby come on. He
did. I saw the official account because he said that Sobby came on and played well. I
don't know if he played well, but he looked. I thought his just movement looked.
I don't know if my bottom lip was out, but I just saw him come on and kind of shield the ball and pass it backwards. I'll
be honest, I probably lost plot by then.
Yeah, I think I had. I didn't see the.
Yeah, I didn't walk out of there thinking, wow, he had a good game, but I thought he kind of come on and showed for the ball and
fetching Bakuna on. It's an odd one. He looks
nowhere
near ready.
The game's lost. Throw him in.
It is, but it looks nowhere near ready for me.
No, but we'll come to the summer recruitment, won't we?
Let's just do summer recruitment.
So again, we've mentioned Moy had we've put the mockers on Lerver with a podcast.
Forget about going through any others. We've had a stinker.
Yes.
And Benza
couldn't trap a bag of sand.
That I don't know what. Philip Billing. I've seen a few people. There's an account on Twitter who seems to have it in for him, and I don't understand why. I have an inkling as to why, and I'm not going to say it. But one thing a few people have said is it time to bin the long throw by Philip Billing?
Well, we're getting boxed, don't we, with that?
Can we try it? Can we try it first?
We've a lot of people are asking for that to be. His accuracy with the long throw isn't always spot on. But do you want to know a sad stat?
I'll tell you a stat.
As bad as his long throw is, 50% of our goals this season have come from it.
Yeah.
So as you say, get the ball in the box, and sometimes things happen.
We've got bigger issues than Phil Billings' long throws.
Do you know what his throwing reminded me of on Saturday? Can you remember the Sheffield United game in 2012 where Lee Clark had lost the plot and it was an absolute clogfest? And we had Sean Morrison trying to throw the ball in the box from the halfway line, doing his windmill throw, and I think 4 or 5 went out for a goal kick. It kind of reminded me a little bit. I had a nice little flashback to.
Let's be fair, to put a tin out on Saturday, we lost 3-0. It could have been a lot more. We were awful. The end.
To be fair, if we'd have scored first,
that's Saturday.
If we'd have scored first, it could have been different, but it wasn't. We lost. After the game, players jetting off. Neil, you put a tweet out. You weren't overly impressed, but I think you've calmed down a bit.
Yeah, I've gone and retrieved my teddies. It just winds me up that we've scored.
We haven't scored.
You know. Yes. No, I mean over the season as a whole, we've not won a game. We don't look like winning a game. We're not scoring goals, and for me, it just sends out the wrong message when you see on Instagram players jetting off here, there, and everywhere. I've calmed down a bit now. I appreciate there's a little bit longer till next game. It's a Monday, and they need to see the families and whatever else. But sometimes it just would sow some goodwill if fans could see them back in Monday morning, giving it what for, planning ahead. Because let's be fair, something's got to change, and it's got to change pretty quick. We're 10 games in. We don't look like we can buy a win at the moment, and he needs to find a way of doing it.
So, to his credit, one of the players that posted himself jetting off was Elias Kachunga, and since then, his personal trainer's been posting videos of him working really hard over in Germany, which is good. That's the kind of thing
I'll
you
be
want
honest,
to see.
from what I've seen of all the others, it'd start for me against Fulham. I'd have him and Van der Parra back in against Fulham.
I'm just hoping Danny Williams is somewhere near. I mean, God, if anyone follows him on Instagram, I don't think anyone could be working any harder to get back in. And I think he can give us something a little bit different than what we're seeing, to be honest with you. On that
I'd
as well.
love to see Danny Williams.
Yeah, but the trouble is you don't get to hear much about his 1 week off, 2 weeks off.
The thing is, he came back in and in an awful performance for team away at Stoke, and I'm thinking,
Just wasn't right.
Danny Williams can't be far off his play this, and we haven't seen him since.
No.
So, he had a setback with his knee. He had a knee setback, I think, during that time. So on the jetting off, me and you, Kosi, we aren't as bothered by it. I think the days of kind of punishing players by making them run on the training ground is gone. I think they react completely different.
It's not punishing for me.
But for me, you've got to think as well, is it better to get them back training, or is it better to just go, look, you've had a bad day, get away, forget about it, come back, recharge your batteries. And to be fair, we've done this all the way through Wagner's tenure, win, lose or draw.
That's my point.
Why change? Yeah. Why change just because?
If it's Mark Robbins or, one of the other managers and that's happening.
Like I said, calm down. Once I'd remembered that following game were on Monday and not the Saturday, I were a bit more, okay.
Yeah, I've got no problem.
It's not like they've all jetted off for a week's holiday.
No.
And to be fair, they can post what they want, but I have to say that it did. I know what you're saying, Neil, though. I just thought they didn't really need to put that on, No.
Maybe if you do go away and things aren't great, maybe just don't Snapchat
don't
do you know what I mean?
But if we're winning, though, we don't even have this debate, do we?
No,
so it's
that's what I mean. I don't think your habits should change, win, lose or draw for me.
That's a completely different ball game, isn't it, if you're winning games?
I just don't think your habits should change regardless of the result. I just think you should have your mantra, and I just don't think, because we do this all the time, we have done since Wagner came in. I think if he said, "Look, none of you are going away. You're on the training ground," I think people would treat that. Players would treat that as a punishment, and I think man management doesn't work like that. Warner could probably do it and get away with it, but I just don't think players respond to that anymore. But anyway, let's talk about summer recruitment.
It is what it is.
Listen to this, boys. Huddersfield Town have not won a game in 10, going back, 15 last season. Huddersfield Town are 5 points off 13th place with 2 home games to come against Fulham and West Ham over there. It's absolutely incredible. I think you can seek solace from that. The worrying thing for me is just kind of, I felt that one win, I don't know, I don't like to take comfort from a table, but you have to. I mean, it was incredible getting on the bus on Saturday. The driver says, listen to these scores, and he reeled them off, and you just couldn't make it up, really, could you?
One interesting thing, Kosi, is last year, I'm only going by memory on this, so I don't have this written down, and it was I think it was about a week ago I saw this, and it was a stat which said the top 6 against the rest this year. I think last year there was a lot of teams beating the top 6, and I think this year they've got 35 out of 40 points.
Out of 40, well.
And the top 6 are not dropping points, and therefore what that's happening is that's contracting towards the bottom, and the bottom teams are getting away with winning less because they're not able to take points off the top 6.
So therefore this season chances are that the points total going down will be lower.
It could be less.
Season.
But you look at, I always think, never mind the others. Look at I think the worrying thing for me, and I think we've had the discussion maybe on the signings, it's who's making the impact. Congolo probably carried on where he'd left off, to be fair.
I don't class him as a new player though, Congolo.
No, I suppose, but the rest...
We signed him, but he's not...
We're all screaming out for attacking intent.
Yeah.
And we've bought some.
Yeah, so we'll do summer recruitment. So 11 games in, it's probably a good time to analyse the recruitment. So in the summer, we were crying out for a quality winger and maybe another number 10 to challenge Pritchard, as Sabiri looked a bit way off. Although, to be fair to Sabiri, in pre-season he looked pretty good in the bits that we saw. And for Germany under 21s, he's had a great game.
He never gives the ball away. Should be in for that.
Kosi Ryoki.
1, 2. Anyway.
So I think in the earlier podcast we all said, do you know what? We signed a couple of wingers. We've signed this, that, and that. We're all quite happy. I think the only thing I think, Neil, you fancied another midfielder.
Still do.
What was the reason behind that?
Partly because you can't rely on Ogden Billing to stay fit and not get sent off.
Okay.
And Moy will be going away in January for a full month.
So was it a midfielder to replace? Because we have an 8 and a 6, don't we? The 6 is more defensive, sits between the 2 centre-backs. He's more defensive. Are you looking
Danny
for...
Williams is also never fit, which has carried through so far.
I don't think that's something you could maybe foresee, is it? But So were you looking for more of a 6 or more of a Moy type?
More of a
number
Moy
eight?
type.
More of a Moy type. Because I sort of think Billy
And I
is
think
kind
the
of...
press... But then
He's raw, but is that kind of more of an
But
8 than a 6?
is that enough to keep us up?
No.
So I still stand
But
by...
would the money have been better spent elsewhere? Anyway, we're digressing a little bit, aren't we?
For me, it was just my opinion. My opinion is we need another one.
No, to be honest,
and
we
I
could...
still think we do.
January 1st, we could go get someone on loan and cover Moy, but we'll have to see what happens on that one. So, recruitment-wise, it was
And are they
wingers,
coasting because they know they're playing?
potentially. But for me, I fancied a different type of striker to Depoitre Meunier, because I know I'm so boring sometimes in that I say the same things over and over. But for me, those two are too similar, and we've got no differential striker in that. Kachunga can play there, Colin can play there, but they're not proper strikers for me. We need...
Let's be fair, if Kwana's the answer, I don't even know what the question is. It can't
do you know what? I've got a good one for you
It's
a bit later on, and you will not
bonkers
enjoy
that
this.
it's even back in 18, but that's just sort of...
Let's
that's
go
more
through...
condemning who we've bought rather than anything else.
Yeah, so recruitment-wise, so we signed Congolos, around 17, 18 million.
Bargain.
Brilliant player. Love him. Flo Hadajanai was made permanent.
Don't count that.
I wouldn't have signed him permanently.
But we don't count that. He's last season's player for me.
He is. I still want to sign him, but
We know.
I'm going to whisper that. Lossell signed. Everyone, I think, would have said yes to Lossell, apart from Ian Kilroy. I love you, Ian. Eric Derm's come in. Andrew at Regminator says, is Derm Emperor's new clothes no better than Lerver for me? Steady performer, not standout World Cup winner. We've covered that. I like Lerver.
Yeah, give him a chance. Come on.
I like Lerver and I like Derm. I think Derm is our best right back.
Derm hasn't played for the year. So
He was longer than that, wasn't it?
yeah, so to be back at level where he is already is
I
pretty good.
like him.
And for me, he stays fit. He's only going to get better and better.
Yeah,
so.
I really like him. I do.
And
Honestly.
for what it'll cost, which is peanuts in Premier League money.
I like how he's
Bargain.
not doesn't have a dominant foot. He can play left or right. He's like,
Isn't it weird how things look different though now?
No brainer of a signing.
I
cheap as
thought we had midfield covered. I thought when people were saying we need another striker, I were really poo-pooing him like
I agree
Rooney
with you
and
on that
Potter.
one, though,
It's
start
incredible,
of
isn't it?
season.
You're looking at it now, you're thinking, wow, we definitely
look
need
woefully
another
short of a
striker.
striker,
Yeah, and obviously the confidence has taken a knock, and the guys just don't look the same player. There's no cohesion, the touch, everything. It's just, but Pat, he just thinks the trouble is more games without a win. Is it just a confidence thing? Because they don't come at players overnight. But let's be honest, last year we were exactly free flowing, free scoring. So it's been longer than just this season and possibly beyond March, really, and things like that as well. It's probably, when you look back at it now, the bounce that we had coming in.
If you look, when I were on that thing with Radio Leeds last week, and Leon Wobshaw were on from Yorkshire Post, and he reminded us this is actually a good stat, Matt, ready for this one, that Town, when we were in Championship, out of 25 wins, 21 were by a goal.
Yeah.
And that were all down to playing teams that just weren't as good as us, and we harassed them and battered them.
I can only remember in the promotion winning season beating one team by more than one goal, and that was Ipswich at home.
3-0 at home, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And do you know, we were diabolical until we scored the first in that as well.
It's a shame, really, because there's some rubbish around. I watched that Burnley-Chelsea game on Sunday, and Chelsea absolutely...
Burnley just know how to sneak points, don't they?
They do, but
they're
I
not
thought
very
Chelsea looked, obviously Chelsea, we played a lot better against Chelsea than Burnley did. Burnley looked a team, I just thought, wow, they've got a... But like you said, they grind out something. There's a lot of rubbish
they're in
around
trouble
it.
for me, Burnley,
Yeah,
still.
there's rubbish around us. Why? If we just ashamed these... Oh, God, we say it every week, this game, but with 2 home games
I
now...
can guarantee by the time we finish this podcast, it's been ready to hang herself all the time. We're going to be leaving here convinced we're beating Fulham, and we're going to stay up and...
Fulham and West Ham, if we could get... But
if.
back-to-back 4 points or something like that, all of a sudden we're in there, fight, throwing
So
punches.
let's draw you back on point again, Kosi, because I know you love a tangent.
Just a bit.
But we'll go back to some recruitment. Bakun is coming. He's not the midfielder you were looking for, Neil. A young project player to replace Dean Whitehead. On the face of it, seemed all right. He's not really made an impact, but
You did at Stoke.
There's one position. So I'm gonna. This is the section. This is the section now, Neil, where I've got load of stats, and I've spent too long collating these. So
I'll put me for it.
So you guys put the kettle on. Put the kettle on. Slippers on. Heater for me because it's freezing. And Kosi, you can knock away on your phone. But so
I'm just looking at this bottom I'm just seeking solace from 13th below. We're still in there, boys. We're
We are,
still
it's
there.
on.
Come on.
One position at a time.
It's an awful league's wrong thing to say,
It's not. Yeah,
but it's just not.
It's a mini league, isn't it? That we're in.
It's a mini league of about 12. To be fair, let's be honest.
Right. So some of the stats I've got. So we've had 48 Premier League games. We've not scored in 27 of them, which is 56% of games we've not scored in. That includes the start to last season. In 2018, we've had 27 Premier League games, not scored in 17, which is 63% of games we're not scoring
Scored
in.
at home. It's November.
If we carry on, my mate Tom keeps what he calls a spreadsheet of doom, and he calculates the points based on goals per game, against per game, points ratios, etc., etc. He works in finance. He's got nothing better to do. If we extrapolate everything at the minute, on 2018 form, we are going to finish the season on 22 points. On the plus side, it beats Derby.
Yeah, Sunderland.
On the negative side, we are not staying up with that. And the problem with what we've been going on about now for over 12 months is the lack of productivity from our wide men. So I've had a look at some statistics, and I've used the official Premier League website, and they're very harsh on Van La Parra because it hasn't counted Van La Parra's chance creation for Depoitre as a chances created. But these are some of the stats. So
Did Van La Parra get 5 goals last season?
I'm only counting Premier League. He got
Did
2
he
in the
not?
cup. He got Bolton, I think, and
Guarantee none of these that
Birmingham,
will just
maybe.
sign will get anywhere near that this season.
I still think he's our best winger, but we'll
It
move on.
is.
So Van La Parra played 33, 3 goals. That's a goal or assist every 11 games. Kachunga played 19, 1 goal, 1 assist. That's a goal or assist every 9.5 games. I'm going with goals or assists because, to be honest, that is the metric these guys want measuring on. Tom Ince, some said we shouldn't have got rid of Tom Ince. Played 33, 2 goals, no assists. A goal or assist every 16 and a half games.
I'd still pick him above either of those two.
Here, Alex Pritchard. This is last season, not including this. Alex Pritchard played 14, 1 goal, 1 assist. A goal or assist every 7 games. Joe Lolly. These are players that haven't played more than 10 games. So Lolly played 6, 1 goal, goal or assist every 6 games. But obviously now, because they've played less, this is skewing it. Sabiri, 1 assist in 5. Palmer played 4, nothing. The stat where you said, if Colin is the answer, what is the question? And the question is, who is our most effective attacking player in that 3 behind the striker? And the answer is Colin Quaner. Played 26, 4 assists. That's a goal or assist every 6.5 games. In the summer, we have, I think, to trigger Mbenza's release clause is 13.5 million. Diakabi 8 million or so. Sobi just short of 6. That is 27.5 million on wingers that can do what Colin Quaner did, which is a worry.
And if you do that Newcastle style, that's 27.0. The next spend if you take off the Tom Ince money.
Yeah, across the attacking trio, Neil, last season there's 140 appearances, 8 goals and 7 assists. This is 3 players behind a striker. What that means is that those 3 players are strikers. Between 3 players, it takes 9.33 games for them to either score or set a goal up. That is where our problem is.
Do you think?
Speaking of Diakabi, played 7, no goals, no assists, no chances created. Pritchard this season, no goals, no assists, no chances created this season. Mbenza played 6, no goals, no assists, no chances created. Van La Parra played 5, no goals, no assists, 1 chance created. Kachunga played 3, no goals, no assists, no chances created. Sobi doesn't count. Am I making my point?
Count the shots that they've had, though, does it?
No.
Because there has been a couple of them. Not many, but a couple. But, all in all, it's not rocket science, is it? We've been poor. We don't look like we've got a goal in us, and it has got to change. It's as simple as that.
So in those trio players I talk about this season, there's 31 appearances, no goals, no assists, and there's 1 chance created. That is where our problems are. And is it tactical? Is it because they're not good enough? I think there's a lot of things. Neil, you said in your little agenda pre-match, Mbenza, Diakabi, Sobi, are they genuinely an improvement on Van La Parra, Kachunga and Quaner? Your answer is?
No.
Do you know, I feel really sort of harsh saying this, but we all watched the Lyon friendly, and Diakabi came on, and he had this shot from outside the box which looked like he'd hit it with a lob wedge, and under no pressure, and I just thought, what was that? Technically, if I saw an 8-year-old do that, I'd be like, what on earth was that? And to me, at the minute, these guys are young, they're projects, they can improve, they probably will improve, and they will get better. We look at.
Do you buy 3 projects? When
this is my problem.
Your wide men and your attacking midfielders.
I know. Established players probably don't fit into our wage bill.
Is a project.
Yeah, everyone we've bought is a project, but the problem I think is obviously the wage bill and how we fit established players in. I would have happily signed less and more established players personally.
Yeah, two or three of quality.
There's a lot of people blaming Olaf Rebbe for this, but the point I want to make on Olaf Rebbe is your recruitment starts 6 to 12 months before. It starts 1 or 2 transfer windows before.
We went a long time without any.
We've got no director of football. Yeah. Stuart Webber left in January 2017. He went on gardening leave. We had no director of football for 6 months. So our Premier League recruitment. David Moss had to come in on the fly, left in about September, October. Yeah. And we had no director of football. The problem for me is that we've had very little planning, and you can't have David Wagner doing everything.
It's been mentioned elsewhere. Why all of a sudden we've left, I don't know if it were transfer policy, but we've left a route of getting players from Germany and that's been successful for us.
This is,
and all of a sudden we've left that alone, and now...
This is what Elliot came up with on Twitter,
and he's right, and now we're all of a sudden we're getting... 3 or 4 in from France. And
Stuart, I'll be honest,
a bit odd.
We were scouting France when Stuart Webber was here. Meunier was scouted the previous season by Webber in his context. So we've always been there.
I like Meunier. I ain't got an issue with that. The rest of them...
But for me, the reason why we've done it is because we've got promoted last year and we've gone, oh wow, look at this. We've got Lerver, lacks pace. Look, we like Lerver, lacks pace. Tommy Smith, lacks pace. Schindler... Not lightning, but he gets away with it. Moy, lacks pace. Hogg, lacks pace. Kachunga, lacks pace. Van der Parra got it in spades. Pritchard, lacks speed. Depoitre, lacks speed. And I think we've gone to a country which is well versed in creating players of strength and speed.
He's come from a family of athletes, and he's clearly
he is an athlete.
Quick.
He doesn't look a footballer at the minute.
No, he don't.
And it's harsh to say it, but he doesn't. He's not done anything yet. He did all right against Everton, but he's not done anything yet that to me which suggests that he knows what he's doing. And it's mean saying this, but for me, Mbenza and Diakabi just look like reanimations of Malvin Kamara.
But then, I know YouTube is that anything, but the stuff the club put out when we signed them both, there's clearly talents there, but they've got to come to the party and ASAP.
It's got to start soon.
It has to, Neil.
We can't rely... And you can't have a team in the Premier League that's wanting to stay there on potential. Potential's great, but potential needs to be pushing established.
I think
for me,
it highlights though that number one, we got promoted without any squad. Half the team was on loan. We've constantly been trying to build a Premier League squad, and I think one of the main problems is a Premier League squad and our budget are very, very difficult to put together. And we either run with a really small squad and a little bit more quality, or we have a squad, and I'm afraid you can't sign players like who we're linked with, El Yunusi, who went to Southampton, a couple of others. You have to sign Diakabi because otherwise you don't have the wage structure. And I think that's part of the problem, and I don't blame anybody for that. We are what we are. One player I was desperate for us to sign around last August, September was James Maddison, who... We've mentioned it before. He got too good, too quickly, too valuable for us. No problem. We're looking at January, and there's a player that I quite like the look of, Neil, who's a wide player, got loads of pace, plays in the Championship, 60 appearances, 15 goals, 8 assists so far, plays for Brentford, who in a few months will probably cost like 18 million. But one player I would maybe have a look at. We're looking at possibilities now, and one player I'd maybe look at is Ollie Watkins from Brentford.
Yeah, I like the look of him. We're at Exeter, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's one player I like the look of, and one I would jump in for before he becomes a Madison and becomes too valuable. Yeah. I'll stick that there. I'll put my neck on the block there. I like him a lot, and
I'd rather have spend the 8s, the 10s on players like that rather than a Diakabi.
The problem as well is that the market in England is so inflated as well, isn't it?
It's bonkers.
Diakabia probably cost 18 million over here. It's that crazy.
Thank God he wasn't over here then.
But it's just that crazy.
Does that mean we can sell him for 18?
Don't think so. Two players I like are Watkins and Maupay. If we're doing anything in January, I'd love those two. They're probably going to cost 20 odd million, and I don't know if we've got the budget anymore to do that. But
I think there's going to be. It'll depend on how close or how far we are away from those that are around us when January comes. You'd hope that if Reba's doing his job right, that we've already got targets lined up and sort of primed.
If we
don't
could
want to be going into January because of how we work. If we do sign them in January, they then need to come in and work 2, 3, 4 weeks before you even see him getting.
There's an international break, isn't there? I think.
But we always wait. It's almost weeks because you like to get them in classroom. But we ain't got that time.
No. Brentford play a similar style and they have a similar ethos to us, so maybe it fits. The only problem is January pay a premium and he's probably going to cost.
And it also depends where they are in leagues. If they're challenging for
they've slipped off. They've tailed off a bit, haven't they? But they could easily jump back. That is so tight, that league. So
I'd much rather see that than we go back to France and buy another couple of unknowns.
Yeah, 22 years old as well, Ollie Watkins. I would go if we could. Obviously, Brentford are going to see us coming and go
absolutely
20 million, aren't they?
Yeah.
But
that's understandable. Why
if we could possibly do that, he's one player. He's one player I like. If we sign him and he does rubbish, blame me.
We'll take them to him and send him a couple of hours on loan to replace.
If we could sign him or somebody like him, would you send him Benza back? 100%. Would you terminate it?
Yeah.
Kosi?
No.
You still think that Benza's got something to offer? Maybe
He's got to have better than what we're seeing.
You would hope so. So one of you two opened up to Twitter about I think it was you, Kosi, was it? You said if you were David Wagner, everything's what's happening at the moment. What would you do if you were him? You kind of like played a bit of devil's advocate here. There's a lot of people kind of
now you're worried. Were another one of my points because I was interested to gauge what people are thinking. Are they looking at the table like thinking a win on Saturday and Monday and could be out of it, or are they thinking it's looking ominous?
All right, so I'll read out some responses that you got on this one. There was one which was at TTC. Matt says, number one, I'd ask Supercos to stop making grand predictions of victory.
We are the people who sing of defeat.
Terrier Cass says, next international break, I'd go back to that deserted island to get the Terrier spirit back in the squad.
Yeah, I think you might be reading another one out in a minute, mentioning about kind of we don't look as fit or as energetic as kind of we have under previous Wagner regimes as well. But it's hard, isn't it? Because I think this time last week we were saying the spirit was there. We were praising the spirit, we were praising the Instagrams, we were praising what we were seeing. You kind of in the Liverpool game. So I think
I feel bad being so negative because I don't like it.
Yeah,
no,
I feel uncomfortable about it.
It's not
I
just
feel
the
uncomfortable. The fact that this
I
is
feel really bad for what I've just said
listen.
about. I feel really bad for what I've just said about Diakabi and Benza, but it's just
we've got a perfect game though Monday night to really change it, haven't we? This is the game. This is.
But when we're doing stuff like this, we've got to be honest as well. You can't
reel you back in, Kosi, because we'll talk about Fulham at the end.
We've got to be honest when we're doing this.
2 home games to come. Come on.
So Alfie Kennedy says, I think Watford was our worst game of the season. People are quick to forget that we dominated Burnley and Everton and went toe-to-toe with Spurs and Liverpool.
Reminded me of Leicester, Matt, although I thought...
It's a good shout, Alfie.
Leicester, the game, we'd scored obviously first, and that knocked the stuff out of me, the fact that we just caved in like a pack of cards, but we were still in the game after an hour, if you remember, the Potter's header. This were different. We were done at 20 minutes, and... The second half, it was a reaction in the second half that was so disappointing for me. We were just stood there and sat there. We were numb. There was nothing there. Yeah, we were rubbish. We were just like, and that's why they just said have the ball, and we got 52% possession. For me, it's not a bad shout. It's that, I mean, Stoke were dreadful in the Carabao, but in the league, I think, I'd agree with that. I think that is the worst.
Clive Wilkinson says, I don't recall any Town player running at Watford with the ball or a direct run. We played so negative. At least Van der Parra will have a go, and Big Cole would have done the same. Hashtag still believe.
And the thing is, you can't argue with that, can you?
No, there's a man here that you know, Neil, who gets his hair cut at the same place as me and you, Eddie Hoyle.
Eddie, good lad.
He says he's not overly concerned just yet, and we're not adrift. Games this year have made me believe we're good enough to stay up. However, I'm disappointed with the summer recruits, with the exception of Durham. Diakabi and Mbenza don't seem like Wagner players that work hard in both halves. I think that goes back to the classroom mentality that you were. Maybe there's a bit of work to do, possibly.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like if you could pinpoint a moment, a goal, a cross, or something, that you could kind of see as a bit of evidence that these guys can.
And Benza showed the odd flash here. I think it was
against
Spurs.
Liverpool last
Spurs
week,
where there was the odd flash.
See, what I will say is, if you
the odd flash, you've been
when
very
we
generous.
get to the Fulham match, if they win, if we get in front with that at home, we actually score a goal at home, the place will lift. You'll feel the mood.
If we score first,
grow, and
what a game that is.
that's all it takes. It just takes one cross, one header, one. Johnny Hogg's not to hit post to go in, in off rather than out off. And it's that we just need that.
Fulham,
we need that bit of.
Yeah. Fulham.
Speaking of luck, Claire Hill has sent some message. It says the word luck has been used the last few matches, and Town have been unlucky to get points they deserved due to the slightest of decisions and marginal errors. But this weekend we needed to go out, play above our game, and make our own luck. We didn't, and it's frustrating. I'm 100% behind Wagner, and the club needs unity. It's what makes the club special. But are we not scoring goals due to tactics or because of players? Are players being constrained by the tactics and losing their creativity? If we got another striker, would the same thing happen? Finishes by saying, I'm forever optimistic, and what I've seen of play at home in recent matches remain hopeful, but we need to stop relying on luck and play above our game.
Well, the thing is, Matt, the Wagner record speaks for itself over this tenure at Huddersfield Town, and it goes back, doesn't it? And we're just reading off there, them stats, Neil, 1 goal wins and what have you. We don't score goals under David Wagner. That's just a fact. Tactics or what have you. I think it's just the way his team's set up to play. I don't think we're ever going to...
But
very
most
structured.
When we do get in front,
we don't usually lose.
I'm quite confident that we're going to get a result out of it, because we do tend to play very well once we do get in front.
I still think of that Bournemouth game. Oh God, it just looks so out of place compared to a lot of other stuff we've seen. But that was just beautiful, wasn't it? Players running off each other, just excitement. Oh, that was
against
just
a good side, and all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
look at them now. That's unbelievable what's happening down there.
Michael Casey, arm like a horse's leg, says we might have to buy an informed striker at a premium in January from either Europe or the Championship, which we've covered slightly. Just a couple more. Malky over from America, where we get lots of listeners from America, so hello to all the USA Terriers.
USA!
We are showing more fight than we did in those turgid first few games where we never had a shot. Unfortunately, our lack of quality is leaving us exposed. Second half, our heads went down. Needs to fix it. Your favourite, Allen Lee 19, Neil, says Saturday was simply terrible. Yeah, we hit the crossbar and had other 4 good chances. First half, all we really offered in the second half was a snapshot from Mbenza. The defending for all the goals was embarrassing.
And you know what's worse, lads? The worst thing, Watford didn't even offer any half-time alcohol. That was desperate. There was nothing. We couldn't even get a dodgy Carlsberg.
After that first half, the one thing you needed.
The worst. We all knew it before. That was the worst thing. Mentally, you're thinking you can't even escape for a beer and that as well. So yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, he finishes, Neil, by making a valid point of what we were saying. Not this week, maybe at the end of last week, was that he says if somebody's playing well in a position, why do we need to shoehorn them in? So if Billing's playing well, why does Moy need to play, and vice versa? Pick your players in the best positions and stick with them. Andy Moore says all the emphasis on the defensive positions, back 3, back 4, etc. It's time we just concentrate on the front 4. Sam says it's a double-edged sword. I only listened to the commentary, but it sounded like we'd spend more time on working and creating goals and less time on our defensive setup. Sivan John, so we're big in Malaysia as well now. Not worried at all. We knew this was coming. Just curious as to what's going on in Wagner's head. Is there a long-term project? And thanks for everyone else who's got in touch. So, Kosi, you've been having a look at the fixtures for Saturday?
Yeah, it's an interesting fixture list. There's even a Saturday night game. It's 8:15 after the Arsenal-Liverpool game, but obviously we're not too bothered about any of this, kind of at the top. Massive games. Obviously, Cardiff-Leicester, obviously for really sad reasons, game's going to get a lot of attention on Saturday. Newcastle-Watford's a fascinating game. Let's hope Watford go up there with the format they showed against us.
Saying last week they can be up and down, Watford, so we don't want them to be down.
I didn't click on it, but I follow kind of a couple of Newcastle journals, and one said the next 5 games, something. It sounds like they've got what we've got. You know, I wish I had the stats, but a program that this is make or break. So I think they're looking on that as massive.
You all the best.
And West Ham Burnley, how big's that game? Claret and Blue v Claret and Blue. So
what do you want in that one though? Do you want a draw, neither winners, or do you want one?
I think West Ham will be too good.
I want
same
West Ham
as last
to beat
year.
them.
I do.
I think over the course of the season they're stronger than Burnley.
Okay.
Absolutely. But obviously the biggest game, as we know, is on Monday night. And then the viewing figures, they've had Tottenham Man City yesterday. Monday night football, some of the sexiest football you'll see. But at least they'll have a decent field to play on this.
Yeah, they'll have a better pitch at town.
Yeah, Huddersfield v Fulham.
Well, Sky have probably done this on purpose because it's bonfire night and most people will be out watching a bonfire, so they're probably going, do you know what, no one cares about these two, stick them on.
Yeah, probably.
Tell you what, the more and more I'm thinking about this game,
Mainstream media.
It's just absolutely huge, isn't it? It's absolutely massive.
Biggest game of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was the season before last, but Fulham absolutely wiped the floor with us both times, so tactically.
Murdered us.
Janovic against Wagner, it's not a debate, as we've seen with Carvalho and Wagner, that. But Wagner got his own back at the end, so this game's huge. I just think Mitrovic, Andre Schürrle's having a good year. He's the kind of a player, if we'd have got, he's someone that would just be perfect for us at the moment. He can win a game, he's a gun, he's a class player, even I think he's 32 now and that as well. He can really hurt us. Yeah, obviously he's not a bad player, but yeah, Mitrovic. So okay, they're down with us, and
they're not shy of scoring, are they? They score goals, but they just
their problem is at the back and that as well. But we can't score. Something's got to give, hasn't it?
Yeah,
something's got to give.
Hopefully in our favour for once.
Yeah, let's up Congolo. Obviously, we're recording this well before the
starts for me.
Yeah,
no brainer. He starts for me.
It'd be great to want it up the boost to see him. We get his text at at 7 o'clock on Monday night and Congolo's snack.
Yeah.
I think Van der Padde will probably be back involved.
Got to be for me.
Yeah.
Got to be first
direct.
Down at shape for me on Monday.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a risk game. I don't think Mbenza or Diakabe, I don't think he can sling these guys in. Sobe, could he come in, Neil?
I think there's every chance. But I'll be honest with you, as long as Van der Padde starts and Congolo's back in, I'd start Mounier 100% instead of Poitre. Rest of them not bothered. Yeah. Let's just get out there. None of this browbeating, get your clappers going, do this, bring the noise, do whatever else.
Yeah.
Just turn up, play the game, play it right, get stuck in, and get us 3 points.
I don't think they're looking forward to the game at all, Neil. I'm doing a bit with a kind of...
I wouldn't if
Fulham. No,
let's be honest, it's one of them. Yeah. If you're anybody else playing town, a lot of time, everyone's probably thinking...
You're rubbing your hands, aren't you? At the minute?
It's 3 points is this, but there's also that little thing at the back of your head going, they haven't won yet.
No.
They're going to win sooner or later.
But that would have been a horrendous result against Bournemouth on Saturday. Although Bournemouth had gone, to Watford, it's incredible what they're doing. Can't wait till we play them. But yeah, they're. I don't think they'll travel north with, kind of the.
I don't think there'll be as much swagger as when they came last time.
No, absolutely. The Scott Malone game where it was so wonderful.
Yeah.
On that afternoon, but the game is just so big because obviously we'll have seen the results. We'll know what potentially a win. This is the thing. We're not adrift. It's there. It's within touching distance. We're seeking solace in that table, but God we could be out of bottom 3 by Monday. If you listen to this, you'd think we were finished. But yeah,
there's 2 words I hate in football.
Not
but it's
3 words.
Must win.
I thought you were going to say we go again.
Oh no, I hate that.
But the thing is, for me,
must win, and it is a must win.
With the game on the Saturday against the West Ham, it's just that. Again, you'll probably hate this word, momentum, but we can feel it. Like everyone will be coming out of the ground, buzzing, fingers crossed.
Oh, you win on Monday.
West Ham would, and again, they won't look forward to coming to Huddersfield.
If we won on Monday, you're within a few days to the next game rather than waiting a full week.
The difference for me, though, the 2 managers, I don't think Wagner's anywhere near. Obviously, Dean said he's not going anywhere. No. But I think
the other one's under a lot of pressure.
He's under a lot of pressure. But for me, this could be his last chance, really. So this, what kind of attitude is he going to bring his team?
He was going to go after Bournemouth defeat.
I wonder whether they'll. Will he come for a win? Will he come? Their tactics are going to be
fascinating. I think he'll come out all good.
I don't think he knows any different.
Yeah. And why shouldn't they? Where we defended at Watford, but
if we can defend right in his heads and just get that break, they can't defend.
No.
For me, it's who scores first. It's
so
obvious. If they score first, they could beat us 4-1 like they did last time we played them at our place.
wow.
And we took lead in that as well, didn't we?
It's bad, isn't it, when you're saying that? Isn't it awful when you're thinking that? Just, if they get a goal, we're finished. But the facts are there, aren't they?
Town have got to come out of that. It could be. It's one or two ways for the viewing public. It's either going to be an absolute stinker, or it could be one of those where you just sit back as an neutral and think these
could be fireworks, Neil. Fireworks. Rockets flying off into the crossbar and hopefully in the goal. But this is such a big game.
We've got to go for it. It's just one of them. It's got to go for it.
Yeah.
Neil, you thanked everybody for the feedback, didn't you, from Kosi's question, and you put a tweet out just to say what team would you guys play. We've had a varied response. I'll read some of them out. So thanks for getting in touch. Most go with a back four. So Andy M didn't pick Congolo. That was you. You had a little bit of interaction. Didn't pick Congolo. Kind of went Lozel, even Derm, Schindler, Zanka, Lerva. Moyam Williams in the double pivot with, he says Pritchard in the quarterback role, but I think he means number 10 because quarterback role's usually just in front of your back four, hitting diagonals, isn't it? But and Benza Mounier and Van La Parra, pace of movement, Pritchard in the quarterback role. Elliot said 4-2-3-1 as well. He's gone with Moyam Billing in midfield. Time to go back to what we know. Sobey and Van La Parra out wide, Mounier up front. Alan Lee has gone with a 4-2-3-1 as well, with Mounier back in for Depoitre, which seems a little bit unanimous, although he does say dynamic 4-4-2, but Pritchard can't really play up front. Sam Dixon says, glad people realise Hogg isn't that good, which a bit harsh. 4-3-3 for Michael Casey. Billing Moyam Pritchard. He's gone Pritchard just in front, really, in a bit of slightly more withdrawn. Sobey and Van La Parra pushed up. Graham Rayner. If you want to throw some dulcet tones in for Graham. He's not sure who to pick up front. He says try something different and put Kachunga up front, but I think having seen Kachunga up front before,
Mounier for me
wouldn't do it. Alfie Kennedy as well. Again, 4-2-3-1 with Mounier up front. Need winners that can... I think it means wingers that can cause trouble down the channels, as Fulham have been exploited there before, especially against Cardiff. So, thanks to Sam, and Terry Cass has gone with a back three. I think he's the only one who would go back three. For me, we don't score goals and we concede less with a back three, so I can see the method in that, but we'll see. So what would you guys go with there? So thanks to Sam Law as well, who's gone with a 4-2-3-1, but he's thrown in Diakabi. Quite a few are saying Williams if fit to play alongside Moy. I think you might have had that down, didn't you, sort of pre-notes as well, Neil?
Yeah, Congolo walks back in for me.
Subby starts for me. I think he lifts the crowd. I think he'll be positive. I'd have him in.
You can't do any worse, I think, is the point there, isn't it?
I don't. This sounds really harsh, but I don't want to see Mbenza, Diakabi or Depoitre start. No, just no. Van La Parra, as long as Van La Parra plays, and Mounier and Congolo, not bothered about rest. We just got to go out there and set a stall out, regardless of who's on pitch in a tam shirt.
Do you think he'll play Moy in that sort of more advanced role, which we saw against Burnley and Liverpool, where he was more sort of a... He didn't play out wide like he did at Watford. He was more tucked in, wasn't he? It was
bizarre at Watford and it didn't work.
Yeah, it was more of a tucked in on the right. Do you think he'll go back to that, or do you think he should just...
Don't know.
Or should he just pick the two in midfield, the best two?
From being 4-2-3-1 and rigid with it for 2 years, I'll be honest, now I'm unsure what we're going to be getting every time we go in. There's nothing sort of set, and I think that's probably part of the problem.
Do you think that's
yeah, I think it's part of the problem.
Okay.
But yeah, regardless of who plays, this is one of those, and I say must win, and like I say, I hate the phrase, but it's against one of the sides that's directly round us, and if they win, there's a little bit of a gap all of a sudden, whereas if we win, that gap's gone.
I just think mentally, if they win, I don't want to think about it. But yeah, it's a night for a bit of luck for Town. It's a night for making something happen. I just hope the fans
It's got all
bring
makings of being a brilliant week at home.
It has, and honestly, it feels far away at the moment to me. Survival, and I feel miles off if I'm being brutally honest.
But a week.
But yeah, give it a week, mate.
4 to 6 points in a week here.
Yeah,
and that is season
against
transforming
rivals.
Stuff.
It is. This
it
is it.
Yeah,
Come on,
definitely.
Tom,
but alternatively, if we lose against Fulham and West Ham, do you think that's us done? Even though it's only November.
it'd be hard to argue against it, wouldn't it?
What, doing these podcasts? Yeah, I think it is with that one.
I think we're the problem, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are the problem.
I think Canadian are knocking at the door. Hang on a sec.
Excuse me, is that the home of the Whoppers?
Yeah.
Oh, that Dean Hoyle sounds like that.
Whoppers of the week.
So I think all of us would probably go 4-2-3-1 and Van La Parra, I think, is key. I know he's.
And at any point, if we are chasing it, please, don't
put two up
do
front.
not put De Poitre on with Mooney up front.
Doesn't work.
Never has, never will.
It doesn't work at all. Okay, so
and
we're not doing score predictions because Kosi seems to jinx us every
5-0 Fulham.
Oh, that'll do. That'll do.
I'm 6-0 Fulham.
That's it. We've done it.
Okay, so it's usually at this point, Neil, where we do I cut across to you and you say you've been on Whopper Watch and you do your Whopper of the week. This week, instead, what we wanted to do was we didn't want to do a Whopper of the week, and instead we wanted to do a tribute
not very
to.
fitting this week.
No, we wanted to do a bit of a tribute to the Leicester City chairman. So there's a couple. I've read a few articles about him, and he seems like such a really smashing guy, and it's very, very sad news. And I think all of us on this podcast would send our best wishes to Leicester City. But there's a few things that this Leicester chairman did, and it resonated with me.
It's very, very, very similar to our very own.
I was going to say that. So these are the things of what he's done. So he's bought the stadium back, which was previously owned by an American investment firm. He's removed all of the club debt and absorbed them himself. He spent £100 million of his own money on a training ground for the club. He's bought beers, donuts, snacks, crisps, all sorts for fans on certain points out, just for celebrate, not weekly but celebration. And that for me sounded very, very similar to
He bought all players a brand new car when they won league.
And
then does loads for local charities and whatever else.
Yeah, and he has a sense of community about everything he does, and he invested not only in. You get so many foreign owners who'll come over and they'll just throw some money at a football club and let it go into debt. What you get with a Dean Hoyle, and you get this with the Leicester chairman, and to be fair, even at Manchester City, they invest in the community, they invest in the area, and they take an interest in not just the football club, but the people that come and watch the football, and they invest in the whole dynamic of the football club, rather, and people like that are few and far between, and it's a very, very sad time, and obviously we'd wish the very, very best for Leicester City at this moment.
Yeah, horrible on Saturday. I think when you saw some of the videos coming through, we all feared the worst. I think it's probably hard for people to understand, I think, who don't kind of watch football and kind of maybe have an owner that...
People like that bind other people together as well, don't they?
I mean, quite a lot of us are lucky enough to kind of talk to Dean Hall, whether, events and what have you. And when an owner has brought probably some of the best times of your life, maybe some of the best times of our lives has been through Huddersfield Town, I think it's fair to say. So when you think of kind of Leicester, what that guy's done,
it's all comparable with what Dean Hoyle's done with us.
Yeah, you said that, Neil, didn't you? I just think it feels like you've probably lost someone in the family. I mean, the tributes were absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the flowers, the squad. You even had Paul Lambert, down there, which it's just like it's kind of unheard of. For me, a football club should be about its community. Just what you read out there, Matt. I think on his birthday all the time, he kind of buys people a drink and what have you. I mean, we just saw what happened when Zanka did last year. The kind of the love that we kind of felt when you feel like he's kind of a brother of the club, really.
You feel like you count. You feel like it's your club, and there's not many. I mean, look at Bradford at the moment. I mean, that couldn't be more torn apart if it tried, because they've got owners who've come in and sort of stripped it bare of what it was. And 2 years ago they were a buzzing community club. You look at Leicester for Leicester were the most ridiculous story ever in football. And I think anybody who watched football that season who wasn't a fan of the other two sides who were challenging for the title, everybody wanted Leicester to win that league that season. Sort of from Christmas onwards, it just got more ridiculous as it went on. I think they could do this. They could actually do this. And the fact that they did it, Leicester City winning the Premier League, getting to Champions League.
They were brilliant.
Oh, unbelievable. And then that's why it's very, very comparable to what Dean Hoyle's done for us. Them winning Premier League, that's Town getting promoted to Premier League for me. That's that same level for me, because we shouldn't be in Premier League.
No.
From where we were 3 years ago, and nobody would have ever said Leicester City were going to win a Premier League. So, but everything they do, community-wise...
I was going to say, even if you remove the on-field success, everything he did off of it was really admirable as well.
That's what builds what's on for me.
Yeah, it's the duty of care.
Everything behind it is building a football club for a community.
He didn't just...
And he's done it spectacularly. And that can't help but give the football side of things a boost and give people a real lift.
Yeah.
When they're looking after the community so well, they get that community behind them. And what Town have done, what Dean Hoyle's done for us, is completely comparable. So for what's happened last weekend, it's truly devastating. I mean, if that had have happened to us at our club,
I wouldn't.
I'd have been mortified.
Yeah,
it would have been heartbreaking.
It must be hard for people who don't understand football. They're like, well, hang on a minute, they didn't even know this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, why is this? But I think when you've got reflection,
you just feel like you do, though, don't you?
There's a few people on Twitter have been putting stuff out and what you're moaning and crying from this, that and other, because you didn't even know him, this and other. It's not about knowing somebody.
It's about what he does for something that you love, isn't it?
Actually done.
That's what I mean. I don't think some people get it, you know, and that as well. It's just like, for me, it's, you can see, I mean, what he's brought to that city. The memories for life. The times we've only got to see what happens to us. It's like, you'll never forget it for as long as you live. The best days, some of the best days of life. That guy has delivered that and more. You know what he's done for the community, and to me, it was really sad. And you know, you've seen kind of people involved with clubs kind of come and go, and often tragic. But really, it me did that on Saturday, especially on Sunday, and obviously there was nothing announced, and I think we all feared the worst. And then seeing the players and the flowers, it's absolutely horrible. The guy, you know, and as a foreign owner, to kind of be respected for that, it's that. When you just said there, you know, like the guy at Bradford, and there's so many others you could mention, but
umpteen.
He's so sad.
Umpteen, and I think that's why we as football supporters probably, I'm not saying we get it more than others, but because ours is so similar in how he runs it and what he's done, I think we can probably get it a little bit more of how we'd feel if that had been us. And it puts a lump in my throat even thinking about it. I can't even imagine that, to be honest. I think so for what everyone at Leicester's going through at the moment, it's just truly horrific.
It's important as well to remember that, as well as the chairman, there were two others in with him and two pilots as well. So 5 people.
And the pilots
sadly
were a
lost.
couple, weren't they?
Yeah. So
and they've actually, knowing that they're going to crash, and the chances are that that's going to explode when they crash, they've taken that as far away from any public as they possibly could, which is, I mean, who thinks of that? That's phenomenal. So they're just heroes, absolute heroes.
What an honourable weekend. And I heard someone in the ground. I thought someone said Glenn Hoddle, and someone else said Glenn Hoddle. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah,
what's going on? So I went on my Twitter and horrible.
And then also they mentioned the Brighton fan who died at the ground.
Yeah, it's been a bad week, hasn't it?
And it tends
maybe
to happen like that in football. You tend to get a few all at once, and you just think it's almost like the powers that be are just sort of getting us all a bit back to.
You kind of sit here now,
football.
You sit here now and you think, you know what, summer recruitment, what of it? These are the things which are
who
important.
gives a toss? It doesn't really matter, does it?
And I apologise for calling Diakabi and Benza a reanimated Malvin Kamara, but these are the things that.
But that's football, and football fans understand that. But proper football fans also understand that everything is bigger than football.
Look at the shirts that were being laid down there.
Yeah,
There were teams, you know, all over the place.
I remember as a kid when after the Hillsborough disaster, I was still at school in Bradford then, and there were myself as a Town fan, a Leeds fan, a Bradford fan, an Halifax fan, all went down to Liverpool with one of us dads and queued up for 6-7 hours to get into Anfield to put flowers and scarves down. And
it were
I'll never ever forget that.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? That like Mahrez happened to score the winner last night. And, you know, it's just kind of just little things like that.
Yeah.
It's so sad, and it's going to take them so long to. Obviously, the game's been cancelled tonight. I think obviously we said they're playing at Cardiff on Saturday. I just read a tweet there. I think
I think it's the right thing to do.
The players want to play.
I think it's the right thing to do, and I think as a chairman over there for football, he'd want them to play.
I think we, like you say, we get it more than most just because we kind of get what an owner who's brought you some of the best days ever.
We've been blessed with the same.
Yeah. And
it is a true blessing in football terms.
I'm really sorry for everyone involved. It's
at Leicester, it's
sad.
From us, it's...
so I think to end on that, so I think we'd all want to send our condolences to everybody involved at Leicester City. Get well soon, Glenn Hoddle, and condolences to the Brighton. And sorry that it's been such a downbeat podcast, but hopefully next week we'll have a bit more to celebrate. So thanks for listening.
Cheers.
And we'll speak to you again soon.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Pate's got a chance. Pate scores! Jack Pate scores! Heffer's in there! Smith scores for Huddersfield Town! 3-2 Town! Boris Sherry, Danny Ward saves! Danny Ward saves! De Quattro's in, round De Gea! 2-0 Huddersfield Town!
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!